Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Monday's Look North, our top story tonight. On trial, the former Sheffield MP accused of fraud. The court hears that Jared O'Mara used fraudulent expenses to fund his cocaine habit. Also tonight, thieves cause extensive fire damage to Sheffield Wednesday's new community pitch.
I'm at a loss to why somebody would want to target us and do this.
Calls for further investigations into what killed thousands of crabs and lobsters on the East Coast. And a 170-year-old jacket made by Indigenous Canadians is found at a shop in Barnsley.
And there was some nice sunshine in places today. What about the rest of the week? Join me for that detailed week ahead forecast.
Hello, thanks for your company. First tonight, he was the young MP who made a political impact by unseating the former Deputy Prime Minister Sir Nick Clegg. But just 2 years after his 2017 victory, Jared O'Mara didn't run a second time for his Sheffield Hallam seat. And today he's been in Leeds Crown Court charged with 8 counts of fraud. A jury's heard he put in false expenses claims partly to fund a cocaine habit. 2 other men are also on trial alongside 41-year-old O'Mara. Now, ultimately, one of them, Gareth Arnold, alerted South Yorkshire Police to the alleged fraud, saying that O'Mara was unable to cope with the office he held. Listening to the start of the trial today was Tom Airy.
It was a shock victory which brought Jared O'Mara to Parliament. You may remember he unseated former Liberal Democrat leader Nick Clegg in 2017, one of the biggest shocks in the general election that year. He first served as Labour MP for Sheffield Hallam, later became independent and then stood down at the 2019 general election. And it was in this year it's claimed he submitted a series of fraudulent expenses claims to the value of about £30,000. He's now on trial charged with fraud, along with Gareth Arnold and John Woodliff, said to be old friends of Mr O'Mara. Prosecutors allege he created a false organisation called Confident About Autism South Yorkshire to try to claim several payments which were blocked by the expenses watchdog. They say he was trying to gain taxpayers' money to use as he wished and to partly help pay for his cocaine habit, which was described as extensive. The trial heard Mr Woodliff was employed as a false member of staff to generate extra income, with Mr Arnold helping Mr O'Mara with submitting invoices. All invoices were either rejected or not processed. The court heard genuine members of staff Mr O'Mara employed hadn't heard of Mr Arnold or Mr Woodliff. Mr Arnold later went to South Yorkshire Police and told officers in a phone call his employer, namely Mr O'Mara, was submitting fake expenses claims. All 3 men deny all the charges against them, with the trial here in Leeds due to last for 10 days.
Tom Airy reporting there. Now, here is a story that's got a lot of people talking in Sheffield. South Yorkshire Police are investigating what could be £100,000 worth of damage caused by vandals. A stolen car was driven onto Sheffield Wednesday's brand new community pitch and set on fire. Now, the artificial turf at Jubilee Sports Club near Wednesday's Hillborough home has been extensively damaged. As Cathy Killick reports, it's going to take weeks to put right.
Opened proudly just 3 weeks ago, this community pitch has been ruined in a matter of minutes. Last night, a stolen car was driven onto the pitch and set alight. The damage to the state-of-the-art artificial grass is extensive.
The car went bang in the middle of the pitch.
Marcus Bramold had high hopes for this facility. His club, Sheffield Wednesday, has spent £1 million bringing it up to scratch for the benefit of the local community and football lovers. He can't think why anyone would want to destroy it.
We're all devastated. 2 years of hard work got into providing a class community facility for everybody. So obviously getting the news last night that somebody deliberately drove a car through the gate and set fire to it on our pitch is devastating for everybody.
What's it going to take to put it all right?
Estimations at this point are about 100,000 to replace everything that we need to do. So it's not a cheap option.
An extensive programme of matches was planned for the pitch. Hundreds of young players used it this weekend. But soon after they'd left on Sunday evening, the vandals used bolt cutters to get in and do the damage. in what looks like a deliberate and targeted attack.
South Yorkshire Police say inquiries into who was responsible are ongoing, but they want to hear from anyone who may have information that'll help them, and that information can be given anonymously via Crime Stoppers. In the meantime, the club is facing costly repairs, and a football development session that was planned for this evening for 200 children has had to be cancelled. Cathy Killick, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
Such a shame for all those children. You're watching Monday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Inclusive sport, the Bradford School introducing wheelchair basketball to students. Next tonight, imagine spending time building up the reputation of your small business only for stock to get lost in the post. Vice Press from Rotherham contacted us to say they could be £20,000 out of pocket following strikes and a cyber attack at Royal Mail. Some of their high-value film posters were collected 2 months ago and they still haven't reached customers. You know, they're not the only company in our part of the world feeling the postal pressure. Our business correspondent Spencer Stokes reports.
Yeah, so we ship these to customers based all around the world.
Limited edition posters designed here in South Yorkshire, ready to be sent to film buffs across the globe. Vice Press have entered into exclusive deals with several Hollywood film studios to make the prints.
It's all handmade, it's hand-pulled.
But company founder James is reluctant to send them to customers after £20,000 worth of stock, shipped as early as November, appears to have gone missing after being collected by Royal Mail.
Unless these items do all of a sudden start to turn up, we are going to face a loss. Our reputation up to now has been excellent in terms of getting items to customers, making sure that we get replacements where there's damages or anything along those lines. This is something that's completely out of our control and something that we can't mitigate for.
Vice Press have been told by Royal Mail that industrial action combined with a recent cyber attack are the twin causes of the delivery problems. That cyber attack saw staff at Royal Mail who logged on greeted with a ransom note. It's caused chaos at the company's international sorting offices.
A ransomware attack can be an existential threat for an organisation. It can literally close the doors of an organisation. Royal Mail have already indicated that they have some workarounds they're working on. But for organisations generally, ransomware can be a very, very big problem.
Elsewhere, this soap company in Malton say Royal Mail will no longer collect from them for overseas posting, forcing a business rethink.
We try and offer different types of product that don't rely on the post. So, for example, now a lot of our business is giving soap making workshops, candle making workshops to customers. So people come here. That invention has been driven by the necessity of taking our reliance on Royal Mail out of the equation.
Royal Mail have apologised for the delays and say they're working to clear export parcels and are making good progress following the cyber attack. Vice Press remain in the dark about where their stock is.
The items that are missing would probably fill a large van, if not a lorry, in terms of the size and the volume of sacks that are involved. So it's not something that drops behind the back of a sofa. It's a significant amount of items and volume.
300 orders placed before Christmas. Customers around the world hoping they get them before Easter. And a small Rotherham firm worried about the damage to its reputation. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North, Rotherham.
Let's tell you about some of the newsroom stories coming in today. Yorkshire Ambulance Service is once again urging the public to use their services wisely as staff take part in another 12-hour strike. Today's industrial action, which will finish at 10 p.m, involves members of Unison who've walked out in an ongoing dispute over pay and safety. The government says the strikes are disappointing, while Unison's head of health says they want to find a settlement.
It can escalate, but we really don't want it to escalate. The way it ends is really easy, with a commitment from the Chancellor to fund a boost to the current pay round and to talk to us about the retention package that's needed to stop people leaving jobs in the NHS. And if we get that commitment, then the strikes can end tomorrow.
Sheffield Secondary School King Edward VII has been rated as inadequate by Ofsted inspectors. The school was previously rated as good, but Ofsted says the quality of education now requires improvement while leadership and management are inadequate. King Edward's is the last secondary school in Sheffield still under control of the local council. Head teacher Linda Gooden said staff and governors were shocked by the report and were contesting it as they felt several judgments were inaccurate and unfair. People in Sheffield whose homes were flooded when a water pipe burst a week ago are facing months of repairs. Dozens of homes in Southie Green were affected when the water came flooding in. Yorkshire Water has told residents that their houses will be fixed. Train companies are increasing the penalty fare for people getting on a train without a ticket from £20 to £100. The rise comes after growing concerns about the amount of money fare dodging was costing.
It's the law to have a ticket before you board a train. This is something that is a national policy for rail operators. So it's a legal requirement to have a ticket before you board the train. It's also unfair for other customers to subsidise your journey if you don't buy a ticket.
Next tonight, East Coast fishermen are calling for further investigations into what's killed thousands of crabs and lobsters along the region's coastline. An independent government report published last week on Friday failed to reach any definite verdict, but it did say a poison new to the UK waters might be to blame. From Whitby, Phil Connell reports.
For the East Coast fishermen whose livelihoods depend on crabs and lobsters, the new report has raised more questions than answers. The government's investigation into why so many shellfish have died has drawn a blank, with scientists saying it was unlikely an algal bloom was to blame, and even more unlikely that dredging for the Freeport on Teesside was responsible. In Whitby, there was growing frustration, with fishermen calling for more investigations to establish once and for all exactly what's happened.
This hasn't given us any answers. We need to understand what's happened here because it's had a devastating impact to our fishing industries and to our coastal communities and everybody really living along this coast. We need to understand what's happened here.
Although this latest report has no definitive conclusions as to what's to blame, experts say a pathogen or poison new to UK waters might now be responsible. The very last thing that fishermen here in Whitby want to hear.
We have a duty to make sure we understand the diseases and pests that might influence all of our animals, including our fish and our crabs, and to try and understand how they may change into the future.
The more chance you have of people being concerned about buying the shellfish from this area, that would just completely finish the fishing industry in this area, for I don't know how many years.
Some fishermen say the deaths of so many crabs and lobsters has seen them lose £1,000 a day, with now even more uncertainty as to what this year will bring. Phil Connell, BBC Look North, Whitby.
Well, unless she changes her mind, it's Tanya's last week doing the sport for us here on Look North. Tanya, I can't believe it. We're going to miss you. How's the clearing of the wardrobe going?
Getting there. There's jackets in there that have not seen the light of day for many, many
25 years, is it?
Absolutely. There's some. I definitely am not going to fit into them, but I'm trying to squeeze everything into a bag. I'm getting this. My last Monday, definitely. Well, on to the football, and the cold weather wreaked havoc with the weekend's fixtures, but there were some key results.
Into the Championship, and after Sheffield United won on Friday night, Rotherham did them a favour, grabbing a good point away at third-placed Watford. Shane Ferguson with the Miller's goal. In League One, Sheffield Wednesday ground out a 1-0 win against Fleetwood. They weren't at their best, but Marvin Johnson's goal was good enough. Barnsley were the team who really turned on the style, beating Accrington 3-1. James Norwood's opener was a classic bicycle kick, beautifully executed. Jack Aitchinson's was a little more straightforward, and they'd pretty much wrapped up the game with 20 minutes on the clock when Jordan Williams got their third. They remain sixth. Sheffield Wednesday are second.
North Yorkshire cyclist Abby Smith is hoping her excellent finish at the Tour Down Under will lead to even bigger things. With number 54 on her back, she was a support rider for the team leader, but the 20-year-old still managed to finish 10th overall. She also finished third in the young rider lineup and hopes that soon the aim could be for her to win that jersey.
It wasn't our goal to go for me or for the white jersey, but maybe another year, next year, you know, I might get an opportunity, or in races to come, you know, I've shown that I'm useful and valuable. So it was very unexpected, but a really nice confidence boost to know that, you know, I've trained hard and things are going well.
She's some talent. Now, Bradford Girls Grammar School has become the first in the country to introduce a programme to get more people of all abilities into wheelchair basketball. They've partnered up with British Wheelchair Basketball's Inspire a Generation initiative, aiming to give pupils the opportunity to try the sport. It's hoped the programme will then roll out to other schools.
12 years ago, I found wheelchair basketball by absolute chance. There was no opportunities in schools. I really struggled to access PE and sport. And today, we're breaking down those barriers and we're showcasing wheelchair basketball to this school. We're the first in the country at Bradford Girls, and hopefully many more schools will get on board and be able to showcase wheelchair basketball to an array of children in this country.
It's really fun.
Yeah. Why is it so fun? What makes it so fun?
Because it was my first time being in a wheelchair. As I was starting in a wheelchair, I learned new steps and I became better and better.
What a fantastic initiative. It reminds me of the Wheelchair Rugby League that took everybody by storm. It's really fabulous to see everybody trying out these sports.
Yeah, it sure is. One day down, 2 more to go, Tanya.
Are you trying to get rid of me? I can lose the other two if you want me out quicker, Amy.
I'm good, should you go? And I'm waiting for the tears.
I know you want to do the football.
Give us 2. Yes, that's really my domain. Give us 2 days. We'll get tears now.
Yes,
today. OK, let's move on, shall we? Next night, it certainly has been chilly for the last few days, hasn't it? And according to one food bank in Sheffield, 70% of people who use it say they're struggling to heat their homes. S6 Food Bank carried out the research, and the findings have made them open space with a cafe for people to go to and keep warm 3 days a week at their warehouse off Penistone Road in Sheffield. They shared their story with us.
We've got this huge warehouse space, so we weren't really making the most of it. So what we've done is redevelop our cafe. We've got a new all singing, all dancing coffee machine over there. And we're also going to be helping to train people who are accessing the food bank in barista skills to hopefully give them a step up into employment as well. Our idea was to try and upskill those people, to give them some purpose, to give them something to work towards and to give them some recognition. We have never been in the business of just giving a bag of food to somebody and sending them on their way. That isn't the value in what we do. The value is in the conversations. Our amazing volunteers here who are sat down chatting to guests. We also then have lots of trained experts. So we have citizens advice here, we have shelter, we have debt support. So whatever it is that might be the main driver for food bank use, actually we can help our guests to unpick that a little bit more and hopefully support them to move away from food bank use.
This space is just really welcoming and warm. It's terrible that we have to have these places that people can't afford to heat their homes, so they're having to go out and find somewhere to spend time. But while ever that's the case, there needs to be initiatives like this at the food bank and at Zest, because we're doing it there too, and various other community organisations in the area. So various tenants and residents associations are also opening up their community spaces for people.
This is just a space to come and rest and just be peaceful. Everybody is welcome here. There's never going to be a reason that you're not going to be welcome, so please, just come along.
Now today, entries are officially open for the 2023 BBC Make a Difference Awards. Each local BBC radio station has its own awards ceremony, which started last year to recognise and celebrate the people who've made their lives better for other people in so many different ways. To help kickstart things this year, I'm delighted to welcome Lynn Caldwell and Joan Tillotson from Ovenden near Halifax, who were winners of Good Neighbour category as part of the BBC Radio Leads Awards in September. Welcome to you both. Thank you for bringing in this lovely award.
Thank you.
Tell me, ladies, how did you get the award? What was it for?
It's a community garden that we started on some spare land that nobody could do anything with, and it's just built up from there. We've got planters, we've got all sorts going on it.
So this started in 2020, didn't it, during lockdown?
Yes,
and you were walking your dogs on this patch of grass.
Yes.
Why did you decide it needed to be a garden, Lynn?
Because it's in the middle of 3 council estates, and these 3 council estates didn't really seem to network between each other. And it was one way by building a garden. It was a facility, it was an asset that all 3 of the estates, it was a generic asset that all 3 estates could use. And really build that community feeling, and particularly at the time when it came at the start of COVID, it was really timely.
And it really does continue to be used as a community hub, doesn't it, Joan? Tell me about some of the events that you put on there.
Oh, we've had a picnic in the paddock, as we call it, the last 2 years, where we've had games and face painting, and we've had a few stalls and tombolas and things, and quite a lot of the residents have been to these. I think the last one we had, I think we had over 100 people there.
Wow.
Which is very good, yeah.
I can see you growing some beauties in there. How much has it changed since you first started it, Lynn?
It's changed a lot. So we started with just a couple of planters, which my husband built. Everything in there is being saved from landfill. So it's all things. There's a planter made out of a bookcase, there's one out of there's 4 cots, there's double beds, and it's just gradually grown and grown and grown as we've diversified and spread. There's a pond now that we got donated from the local school. There's benches that my husband made, and it's just really built and built and built into what it is today.
And what difference has it made to the community, Joan? Because you mentioned about a school donating things, and schools use it as well, don't they?
Oh yes, yeah. We've got a nursery that comes, and we've got a couple of disabled groups that come down and use it quite regular. Yeah, it's made a great deal of difference. There's quite a lot of people just go and sit in there because it's so quiet and peaceful in the paddock, and it's just lovely.
Well, you're two ladies with a big vision, so what's next for the garden, Lynn? Are we expanding?
We hope to do.
We hope to expand.
Go on then,
it.
tell us, what are you planning?
What there is 5 little plots of land. You can't build on them, you can't do anything with them. You couldn't even put children's play stuff on there because they're just not fit. And the reason why we built upright planters in the paddock is it's on top of an old mill. So you can't dig down, you've got to build upwards. And we're waiting for Calderdale Council to give us permission to expand. We've had a grant to expand it and to take it into another 2 of these spare bits of land.
Fantastic. So watch this space. There could be another award round the corner. Thank you so much for coming in, ladies, and for sharing your story.
It's lovely, yeah, thank you very much.
Now we know there are a lot more people like Lynn and Joan who deserve some recognition for what they do to help others. So, from today, you can start to nominate those special people for the 2023 awards. For a full list of categories and details of how to nominate someone, go to bbc.co.uk/make a difference, where you can also see full terms and our privacy notice. Nominations are open now and close on the 5th of March at 11 p.m. Good luck. And believe it or not, Lynn only agreed to come in to meet Paul Hudson. He's got one fan out there.
Impeccable taste, haven't you?
We're not ready for you yet. Stop talking, Paul. Finally tonight, retro clothing is the new hot trend. But what about something believed to be 170 years old? Take a look at this incredible jacket which turned up in a shop in Barnsley. Made by Indigenous Canadians, it could go back as far as 1850s. Vintage seller Glass Onion, which has a large warehouse in the South Yorkshire town, says staff were amazed to come across it. Ollie Constable has a look.
It's a piece of history. I wish it could almost speak and tell the story that on the journey that it's been on to arrive in our warehouse in Barnsley.
This rare jacket is thought to be from the 1850s, made by an Indigenous community in Canada. It's travelled thousands of miles to this vintage seller in Barnsley.
This particular vintage jacket came through in one of our vintage bales, which came from the USA. Our vintage graders instantly knew that this particular item was really special, from the beadwork, the way that the leather fell, the cotton inside lining on the pockets. I decided to upload a video to TikTok in the hopes that the TikTok community might be able to help us learn more about it. I woke up the next day after uploading the video and it had almost 500,000 views.
Experts at universities and museums have helped Alice narrow down where in Canada it's come from, looking at certain stitching or designs on the jacket.
The olive-coloured chain stitching across the pocket is an indicator that it may be from the Red River region, as that was a specific technique taught in schools in the Red River region in the pre-1850s, which allowed us to really narrow it down to a specific region. There's not many pieces like this that still exist in the world today. We feel quite strongly that this particular item should be returned back to the province where it belongs and where it's from.
Wow, what a find. Absolutely beautiful that, isn't it?
Can you imagine if you bought that online? I bet it's worth tens of thousands of pounds.
It must be. I love how I think about the workmanship and the history, and you just think about the cash.
Well, can you imagine though? It's like a gold mine, isn't it, if you bought that? Now, let me show you a few pictures because our producer is very excited about some of the pictures that are coming up. First of all, that's Ripponden, still very frosty up there, but lots of sunshine, fog there in the valley bottom. Now, that's the first of the train pictures. That train is going across the viaduct there in Knaresborough, but just look at this. Now, this is the Cumbrian Winter Mountain Express that set off from Manchester up to Cumbria. That's Pen-y-Ghent in the background, and I'm reliably informed that's a Black 5 engine pulling those carriages. Fabulous picture. Thanks for that, Robert. Let's have a look at the addresses. If you want to send any pictures in, get them on the telly, Twitter, Instagram, or the Weather Watcher website. So a lot of fine settled weather to come this week. We'll have another frost tonight. Fairly patchy, especially in the west. Tomorrow, a mixture of variable cloud with some sunshine, but high pressure dominating. This weak weather front might bring a little bit of patchy rain from the northwest for a time on Wednesday. Then Thursday, Friday and much of the weekend looks breezy, less cold. That's the good news. Temperatures at times will be on the mild side of normal. Now, South Yorkshire seeing the best of the sunshine together. Further north, you can see there's been more in the way of cloud. It's quite thin, so it should break a little bit overnight, but as a general rule, the coldest temperatures will be in eastern and southern areas. The further north and west you go, the thicker that cloud will be. We'll see lowest temperatures around about 0 to -3 in eastern parts of South Yorkshire, but staying above freezing, actually, across the Yorkshire Dales. Right, tomorrow's high water times in Scarborough at 5:50 and Bridlington at 6:15. So a mixed picture cloud-wise tomorrow. It's a day of variable, often large amounts of cloud, certainly for western and northern parts of Yorkshire, although towards the coast that cloud should break. I think the best of the sunshine tomorrow again across the North Midlands, parts of South Yorkshire, over towards North Nottinghamshire, and everywhere it should feel less cold. We're looking at highs close to normal, actually, 7 or 8 degrees. 9 in Sheffield if we get any decent spells of sunshine. A few spots of rain for time Wednesday, otherwise fine, near normal temperatures. At times it will be milder. That's the forecast.
I think there's a story in your vintage wardrobe because there's been a couple of fabulous jackets over the years, hasn't there?
They're still in there, 25 years old.
You're none of us clear our wardrobe.
What's your best offer?
Nil. Give me them free. Oh, good night. Bye-bye.